Hey, good evening, everybody. How you doing? Is that right? Well, let's start the show. Hello, it is me, Mr. TD McCollum, aka Unveiled Vibrations. We here tonight, y'all. It's Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. And welcome to Unveiled Vibrations. Here, where we love to have the conversation out loud that is normally not said out loud, resonating with the other side of silence. And this evening, I would like to invite you into the realm of truth and dreams. Um, Technically, I had a lot planned with this conversation, but I really don't. um, but you know, with no further ado, um, things that I would like to discuss here this evening is purely the fact and fiction of truth and dreams and how we can get caught up in the both of those. One is revealing and one is blinding. One is a space where, in my opinion, it gives us building blocks that are sturdy, strong, built on solid ground. And the other is the things that is filled with imagination, filled with fantasy, filled with make believe, something that isn't quite formed just yet. and how those lines crisscross one another is, in my opinion, how a lot of us choose to live life. On one hand, we live life seeking truth, and on the other hand, we have our heads in the clouds, trying to create something that isn't there. And how often one may influence the other is where I'm at with it tonight. Uh, as we look at the things that are going on in our world today, uh, we're left with the current circumstances of whether or not we live in truth or we live the dream. And I would like to say hello to some of my viewers here joining me tonight. Say hello to the wonderful Bianca Edwards. Hey, hon. She says, Happy Wednesday, Tyrone. Happy Wednesday to you, my dear. Happy Wednesday to everybody in the place to be. Yes. We have the lovely J Star right in the building. Hello to you, Miss J Star Bright. Welcome. And we have the great Mr. JoJo Speaks is here. He says, Hi, Tyra. Hey, everybody in the chats. Hey to you. Indeed. And they say hello to each other. Bianca says hello to J Star Bright. She says hello to JoJo Speaks. He says hello, Bianca. Hey, Bianca. And JoJo Speaks also says love in truth or the dream. Wow, that's a lot. Yes. It is a lot to take on. Because in my opinion, people don't know how deep both of those areas are. And quite often, while we're seeking out the truth, we find ourselves in a truth seeking rabbit hole. Just like on the other end of the spectrum, while we're dreaming a world to be, we find ourselves our head in the cloud. And quite often, we need a reality check. Or on the other end of that spectrum, we need the encouragement to dream. And what we're seeing today is the American dream kind of evaporate, and many people claw and try to hold on to that, which many have seen now to be no longer, and what was once a achievable thing is completely well, I don't want to say totally completely, but it is dissolving before our very eyes, is where I'm getting at with that aspect of the conversation. Many of us grew up with the conversation being that you can be whatever you want to be here in America. You can achieve anything that you want to achieve here in America. The silent but to that is, but when reality comes, when the truth is given to you, we then have to, um, how you would say, swallow that hard pill of life, in which we have to withdraw from the dream realm, or we haven't dreamed enough and we're so fixated on everything being true and authentic that we don't even have a realm of possibility of dreaming of what one day it would be and what we could be, because we've relied on the truth for so long. And it's put me in a space, as when we're looking at our circumstances of today, where here in America, foreign people are no longer welcome unless you're brought here legally brought into the country. And the reason why I had to frame the words brought in was because now the mind state of everything is, if you come here illegally, which means if you're not legally brought here and you're legally functioning here, you're here illegally then. And this current version of America says you're not welcome and you should go back to your own country of origin. And we don't care about your circumstances in which you're seeking to come here because you didn't do it the right way. And um there was a video that interests me today that I think I want to play the audio from, if I could bring it up. There's a young man on social media. Dean Withers is his name. He has this segment in which, I think that is his name. Is that his name? Yeah, that is his name. Mr. Withers here has a segment in which he talks to Trump supporters and um, has a conversation with them about why do they still support Trump despite the 34 conviction felons and everything else that he has done, as far as the campaign promises of bringing down grocery prices and such. And uh, but the aspect of immigration is something that he's upheld, and people are praising him for attacking the illegal. immigrants. And one of the things that I find is quite interesting about it is when people are saying this is a Christian nation and we uphold our Christian values, but then when combated with the truth of no, you can't be a Christian nation. And here's the reasons why their stance is altered, their posture is altered slightly. And I find it quite interesting. And I'm going to play this clip so you can get a little bit understand of what I'm talking about here.
You have no right to our due process and constitution when you come here illegally. You committed a crime.
Are you a Christian?
Yep.
Jimmy, no, you're not. No, you're not, Jimmy. Because Leviticus 19:11 says, "The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Treat them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I'm the Lord your God." And you are very specifically arguing an opposite of what the scripture says here, because you're saying they should be treated so much differently than the quote-unquote native born that they shouldn't even be granted rights.
Listen to the response.
I agree with that.
So you disagree with the Bible?
Yeah, I guess I do right now.
So then you're not Christian, because that's...
All right, we established that. I'm not Christian.
Jimmy, you love Trump more than God. If you're willing just to throw your religion out the window, if you're willing just to throw that scripture out the window, if you're willing to sit here and say, I'm Christian, but when Donald Trump contradicts my Christian beliefs, I'm actually not a Christian any longer, you love Trump more than you love God.
That's not true.
Explain to me how.
Explain.
It's just not true.
So you believe that the Christian God exists. You believe that he's perfect. You believe that he's all-powerful. And you believe that he's all good. You believe that he's the divine arbiter of morality, but you believe you know better than him.
That part.
No, that's not what I said.
So if you don't believe that you know better than him, when we read Leviticus 19:11, where God says, do not treat the foreigners residing among you in your land any differently than the native born, this is when you bow the knee and you apologize for your sin.
You have no...
Ladies and gentlemen, when we have gone this far, and I thank you, Dean Withers, for having this conversation and bringing up this very point right here. The dream was given to us as a people that we could be free in this country and we could be able to acquire the things that we need because of those freedoms. But the narrative isn't a dream of freedom. The truth is this: it's free for me because I said it is free for me, but for you, it's only what I say it is for you. And we're waving our hands to the very things that we have articulated as what we stand for, i.e., in this circumstances, we stand as a Christian nation. But clearly, as Dean pointed out here in his segment, when we talk about bringing in the Bible and measuring it up next to how you present yourself and how you act and how you treat people, now you want to hand wave the very thing that you said you stand for and stand by and value, and being that you're calling yourselves a Christian and of Christian nation of descent, and it doesn't add up, and it doesn't. The truth is, you give a people a separate set of rules to live by than yourselves. And then those rules are always changing, because when you're met with those same rules, you're like, oh, that doesn't apply to me. So the fact that America was founded as a place of immigrants, in which these sets of freedoms were granted to those that, one, were born here or nationalized here, we agree that that status quo should stay. That should stand. But the moment when, pun intended, something foreign is added into the mix, we change our minds and say, no, 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 that doesn't apply. We wave our hands to it and say, well, they must adhere by these standards. And the problem becomes when we, as you saw here, we bring up Leviticus from the Bible. You're like, I know what's in the Bible. Don't quote to me what's in the Bible. Don't hold me by the standards of what's in the Bible. I don't care what's in the Bible. What's right is right. But what we're truly saying is what I deem is right is what's right, based off of my beliefs. And when met with the truth, the image in which we have orchestrated this dream of our lifestyle and the way it should be begins to get chopped up, and we're in this mind state of combating the new status quo of, well, they should live this way and they should do it this way because what? And unfortunately, the gentleman has to recant everything that he says and eat crow, because you're not leading by example and you're not living the standard of life in which that you say you are. You have orchestrated this other status quo and expecting people to live by that. And I'm willing to bet if we did the homework on this person and found out where their lineage came from, it didn't start here on this shores of the United States. It started somewhere else. And to bring all that up, now they're upset because the very thing that they stood for is challenged. Facing that truth is hard for a lot of people. The truth in the Bible, it says the truth will set you free. It also says in the Bible later on that, men will have dreams. And Young men will prophesy and have visions. And we're left with trying to figure out the reality and all of that, you know? And the problem is deciphering the two has become much harder for many people because, like this gentleman, his vision and dream of the perfect in America, the perfect America is led by somebody that looks like him, that may say some of the same things that he says or feels the same way that he feels. And the reality is that doesn't work for everyone. When this country was built on granting things to everyone and bouncing back and forth between the reality of America wasn't built for everyone. America was built for, how I would say, the country club, the club members, the ones that are a part of a certain set of our society, and to understand that their rules, we don't completely govern by those rules. We govern by a standard set of rules, and those standard sets of rules often change based off of how the elite feel they should be implemented. And this is what we are seeing in 2025, in which if you're of a foreign nation living here, the dream of buying a home, raising children, and generating generational wealth that you can pass down to the next generation and the next generation after that, it's about dead, because we're under attack from within. This is something I laughed about, but to hear the nation's leader talk about that in that way, and that explicitly being the language in which he used, what are we really talking about? Who is this enemy that you're discussing? I'll come back to that. I got to pause for the cause. I would love to acknowledge the presence of the people. With me in the chat, we have Miss Kim. Welcome. Welcome, Miss Kim. She says, hey, y'all. Hey to you. All right. I'm glad to see you here. We have the lovely Mamir in the chat. Welcome here tonight. I appreciate you joining us here on Unveiled Vibrations. She says, hi, everyone. Hope y'all had a great day. Great day indeed it was. Echoing what I just said, back to the regular schedule program already in progress. Who is the enemy? It's hard to tell these days. It is absolutely hard to tell who the enemy is because truth is that is subject to the interpretation of the one that is saying who the enemy is. And right now, in this day and age, the leader of the United States is stating it is everyone that is formed an opinion against him has taken up a stance against his agenda, and his followers, they have become the enemy of the state. Let that sit in for a second. And to really understand that, how that mindset will affect how they govern becomes a bigger issue, because the liberties that we have been enjoying here in this country are now being attacked. The the pursuit of wealth is being attacked by the ability to find gainful employment, the ability to find health care, the ability to buy food. And the question becomes, what's next? And at the root of it, it's the dream in which they have created of the particular America that they believe that this country should be. And from what I can gather, that dream is where the ultra wealthy are in charge of everything. The ultra wealthy has the ability to govern how often that you can go to a doctor, who you may commune with, far as friends, social media, or whatever. And ultimately, it will be how much money you can make. The reality is this, the truth is, as I said a few months ago, people have gained access to areas in which they did not intend for them to gain access, financially speaking. And once they gain access to those rooms and access to those circles of people, they gain influence. And what we're seeing now is them trying to correct that by pulling the rug, pulling the plug from in which these people gain empowerment to make it once again the country club that it once became, because it wasn't always that. If we go back to the inception Declaration of Independence style, um, unfortunately, the language in which they use, all men should be created equal, treated equal. And the problem in that is there is no equality. And it becomes difficult to have equality because the challenge is the have versus the have nots. And the fact that along the lines, when people have more than others and the others can't gain as much or get the information to gain as much, envy comes into play. The truth is, in that, their dream has just been bursted. That bubble has been popped because they once believed that they could achieve this. And the reality is, this is about as high as they can go because those in power will not allow you to go past that threshold. And what we're seeing here in America is a recalibration of that threshold, because that threshold over the last 50, 60 years has gone higher and higher. And what we now are seeing is where they're trying to compress that back down, because the lie, which was the dream that they sold, that you can be whatever you want to be and go as high as you want to go, is not real. And one of the methods in which they are utilizing at this very time is creating a enemy that doesn't truly exist. Let that sink in for a second. I would like to welcome to the live Lady Virgo. Welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate you being here as always. I look at this comment right here by J Star Bright. Anyone not thinking about the people and human lives, they are the enemy. how we get here at this point of people not thinking about human lives is when we dehumanize the very ones that by design we label as the enemy. I remember after 9/11 how Muslims were labeled the enemy and how a certain set of people in this country did not care the fact that that was a religion, not a set of people. But because they gave a face to that enemy as being people from the Middle East, anyone that looked or sounded like them became the enemy. To the point that when we went to our gas stations, and if we didn't see people that looked like us and talked like us, we attacked them and everything that they stood for. And what's crazy about it, here's the crazy part. Come in close. These people were here legally. Let that sit in. Let that sit in your mind. They legally came here. They were granted the ability to build wealth for themselves and their family. And it wasn't until they were labeled this enemy and was dehumanized by the people that their legitimacy of being here in this country was challenged. Think about that. Think about that versus what is actually going on today with specifically Hispanics. Because that is the new face of the enemy of America. People of Hispanic descent, they don't care if you are from a U.S. territory or not. You speak that language around me, you're here illegally. And people will say, oh, no. It's not. It's not that. Well, they're here in America. They should just speak English anyway because we speak English. Do we realize that's exactly what they did to the Muslims that were here? We're Christians here in America. You should practice Christianity. Forget your upbringing and everything that you know. Acclimate to and assimilate into our cultural society to fit in to our version of life, to make us feel comfortable. Let me cook a little bit. these are the same people that were attacked for their clothing in which they wore that looked different than what we're normally see. And what's so funny about it is to see an Amish person not really get attacked the same way. It's quite interesting that they're able to accept that, but not Muslims or Hispanics. We can accept someone coming from Germany and have a slight twang to the English accent. We can accept someone from the UK. We can accept somebody from Ukraine, even South Africa. But, but you don't label them the enemy. And what I began to understand is it's because you can get something from them that you value versus the others. Because what do we see happening before our very eyes now is yet again another hand wave to things. Recently, Donald Trump was over going through the Pacific, through Japan and all these, even Korea, and yet again trying to broker deals with people overseas because he's trying to get something. He's found some sort of value in what they have to offer. South Korea came here to America to help us build, and we know the story by now. This lady decided that they were unworthy of being here ultimately. And here we are, the governor of the state of Georgia is over there in their faces trying to gain something. Then the president goes. Why? Because he's trying to gain something that they don't have. They found the value in the very people that they tried to dehumanize because they have something that they want. That's the truth. The dream and the lie that they tell themselves is this: we're great at everything. We're the best country in the world because A, B, C, D, F, G. The problem is this. The challenge is this. When somebody else does it better than you, you have to swallow your pride. And I think people like the man that Dean Withers was interviewing find it hard to swallow their pride because they've been pumped up with that. And as the Bible will say to us all, it always comes before the fall. That pride leads to the fall. Now, we're not trying to say, we're not talking about not being confident in what you can do and what you can create and what you can provide. But just know that in a world of equal playing fields, when somebody bests you at that thing, dehumanizing them to build yourself up above them isn't going to work out for you. Mamir says, yes, TD, dehumanizing people makes it so easy for them to be hated and discarded. It is a useful tool for the powers that be. Mm. It's the game that they play. And how many of us are willing to play that game on a daily basis where we allow people to dehumanize us, but yet pillage from us the things that make us us, that sets us apart from them, that makes us valuable to those that will seek out our wisdom and knowledge and abilities to perform things that they cannot. Imagine if you were the best basket weaver in the world. Everyone marveled at your baskets and your ability to do it. And someone comes along, promotes you as being the best in the world and the brightest in the world, brings you into their home to build those baskets for them. And the moment that you take an opportunity to expand yourself, they began to plant seeds of dehumanizing you. You know, Brenda, the basket weaver, she's not that bright. Yeah. Sure, she does good at those baskets, but man, she's lazy on everything else. You know, the other day while making baskets. She had the nerve to ask me for a cup of water. If you can make baskets, you surely can get your own cup of water, right? Forget about you invited them into your home. Forget about Christian hospitality, right? That's just a small bit of what we're seeing. You to think that Middle Easterns cornered the market of selling oil and were brought here into America to facilitate those things in America known as gas stations and to dehumanize them because of their religious beliefs. If you know, you know, you know. To invite these people into the country to help farm the land and do it for low wages because anybody else here, naturally born here, refuses to do those things. And to say they're taking the jobs, to go as far as say they're stealing the pets, they're eating the pets. That's their reality that they're stating. But the dream is this: they want to control everything. They want to control the farming industry. They want to control the health industry. They want to control the housing industry. Heck, with abortions banned, they want to control our bodies. The dream is we want control. The truth is they don't want you to do anything without their authority being in it. My man says, ugh, my little doggy is driving me nuts right now. I'll be right back. I've got to take him potty. Mm-hmm. Understood. He thinks it's dark and scary out there. So I'll be back. Be quick. Um, to take off your words there, it is dark and scary outside because the light in which we were once looking towards has dimmed. That gave us the courage to dream. And as we see the collapse of the dream, reality sits in. And the reality is we can't continue doing the things that we used to do the way that we used to do it isn't working anymore. Because can I say this as blunt as possible? Uh, the powers that be don't want us doing it that way anymore because they lost control. And when they lost control, the decision was to regain it by any means necessary. And if the system has to collapse because of it, then so be it. So the the mindset to completely allow things to implode and go off the rails so badly to maintain the control in which they have envisioned, that's the reality that we're in right now. To understand that we have a biblical reference to this. And what did they do that we can't do today? They came together as a people. The reason why we can't come together as a people today is because the face of the enemy that was presented to us is our neighbor. And because we lost touch with compassion, we lost touch with empathy, we only care but so much. To think that Dr. King had this dream and that dream actually got pretty close to becoming a reality until people began to realize that that dream brought people closer together and they were able to empower themselves to the point in which the people of power and status were no longer sought after, no longer revered, no longer feared, no longer praised. They themselves became discarded. And now they're tricking us into dehumanizing our neighbors. Yeah, it's heavy to talk about this, to understand that the play at hand is to strip away the liberties in which we have grown accustomed to having. And people are willing to give those things up because they don't want somebody else to have more than them. Because it is the have versus the have nots. To understand that somebody else has $1,100 per month in food stamps coming to them, and you're living paycheck to paycheck, $600 a month. And the world says to you, those people are your enemies because they're living better than you and they're on public assistance. But because you make $600 a month, you can't get any assistance. And they begin to plant these seeds of, well, the reason why they're getting $1,100 is because they don't work. And because the ones that are working and they're getting 600 instead of 1,100, they're mad at the people that's getting 1,100 and will gladly sacrifice the whole system so they quit getting 1,100. And the thought process is, I'm gonna keep getting my 600 while working because that 1,100 that they're getting over there is fraud, waste, and abuse of the system. But then when the system by the elites and the powerful gets completely eradicated, the person that was getting the 600 in assistance while they're working are now suffering too. And to understand that because they're working is just not enough to get by. They need extra. And the powerful and elite are saying they're not willing to increase wages so you can afford the lifestyle that you once had with that assistance. Not a person that's just making $600 a month on income and they're not on public assistance turns to you and say, well, just get another job. Not knowing your circumstances. Getting another job will cripple you health wise because you're working so much that you don't have the ability to go see a doctor because now you have to take off work to deal with that from 2 jobs. Right? But no, America is this attitude that everyone should pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. So that I asked the question, what do you say to the people that don't have any boots? In essence, what you're telling them is to go get the boots. It sounds different when you tell somebody that has a job, oh, just get another job. It doesn't seem as harsh as telling somebody you should get better shoes because the value of the shoe isn't it isn't the same. It isn't the same. The realm of truth is so vast, and here's the interesting about the realm of truth. It's so mysterious because the truth is not always put in plain sight. However, the alternative, the realm of dreams, is always there. It is the place of where we hope. It is the place in which we gain inspiration. It's the very place in which we draw from to hopefully reshape our reality. The problem that I see today is many of us fall asleep in the dream and never wake up to understand what's real. Therefore, truth can be sitting right next to us and we never acknowledge its presence. For being asleep and dreaming feels better than facing truth. It's a it gives us a sense of euphoria in which we begin to believe in something that's bigger than us. Do I see anything wrong with that? Not really. I don't. But the question that I ask in that space is, how long do we stay in this dream world? How long do we stay asleep before we wake up? And when we wake up, what are we seeking? Are we seeking what we just exited to be a part of our reality? Or are we staring down the barrel of truth and accepting it for what it is? The reality that I see prophetically is it's quite remarkable because it's it has a dark element to it. And the way it presents itself to me is the light at the end of the tunnel. It's always darkest before it gets brighter. As we walk through the darkness, the the heavy moments, the challenges that we are faced with, the tribulations that we're going through, it is dark, cold. Sometimes it feels lonely because we don't know that somebody else is going through what we're going through. And it's not until we had the conversation with one another that we realize that we've gone through similar things in life, and sharing our experiences with one another helps each other. For instance, Thanksgiving is coming, and a lot of people are not going to be able to afford to feed their families. And to understand that this is something that isn't foreign to African Americans in this country. Heck, the version of Thanksgiving that I know of stems from us pooling our resources together amongst our family and our friends to give thanks to where all our blessings come from, which is the Lord. Not whatever version of society's version of Thanksgiving is. Because we all know the history of Thanksgiving and what was done to the people, the natives of this land, in the name of Thanksgiving. And if you don't know that, I will definitely tell you, do the research on the history of Thanksgiving. It isn't the holiday in which marketing has portrayed it to be. And a lot of that marketing has been reshaped and retooled based off of what research they have done into all the communities that make up America, in which they have capitalized off of the sale of Thanksgiving turkeys, stuffing, and because of marketing, they saw this uptake in post Thanksgiving sales, in which they crafted a whole marketing scheme behind called Black Friday. Truth behind that is that was a day in which retails would try to get their numbers back up into the black and hopefully into the green. And Cyber Monday came about because everybody eventually started shopping online the weekend following Black Friday because of marketing. schemes. Has nothing to do with being thankful. Has nothing to do with Christian values. Yet we're faced in an unprecedented time in which our people may suffer because of the ignorance of others. And to know that there are people that will go without because they haven't experienced what African Americans have experienced. And I'll give that tea. I'll give that secret out to those that are not familiar. Thanksgiving for the African American community was a time period in which we pooled together our resources. Someone would the knowledge and know-how and the funds to all they could do was buy the collard greens. Someone put the potato salad together. Someone else made the macaroni and cheese. Someone else, all they could do is afford a 10-pound turkey. To understand that turkeys come way bigger than that. But them bringing those things to one place and we eat and be thankful for another day, another month, hell, for some of us, another year. To understand that is how a people got by. As we are approaching these holidays, I challenge you people, come together as a community. Is how we'll make it. Come to your brother's house, come to your sister's house, come to your cousin's house, come to your auntie's house, come to your grandma's house. Talk to each other. Figure out what you can do to come together to survive yet again another day. Because that community, that's what is needed at this time. Even if you can only just put together a gumbo soup in a big old pot. Somebody somewhere can add to that. And it will become something that will sustain you in these hard times. And if food isn't something that can bring you together, hopefully the love of Christ can bring you together. Because this king that we have on the throne will not care how you make it. That's all I got to say about that. This has been another episode of Unveiled Vibrations. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to my lovely soprano saxophone. I call her Latoya. Me and Latoya have been together since high school. This was the first instrument that I purchased personally with my own money. I had her on layaway for about almost 3 months or so, 3 or 4 months. And the first time I played her in the music store, it felt right. And then I looked at the price, and the price is the best price for me at the time. And being the oldest one that I purchased, as I said a couple of weeks ago, she's the most feistiest out of them all. Playing soprano saxophone can be a little bit difficult sometimes because of the embouchure of my lip and the amount of air that must be produced into it to produce a decent sound. And there was times which I went to play it, and as a horn player, many of us would say the horn fought back with me because of, not spending time on it enough to which we can manage it better. And so I like to call it like to kick me in the mouth when I don't practice on soprano. And because of the amount of air that it took for me to play in it and craft a good tone on it and whatnot, it took a lot out of me when I first started playing it. It was a lot, I tell you. And I would say quite often it kicked my butt. Oh, I would say she kicked my butt. And when I mean she kicked my butt, she kicked my butt. And it became a running joke for many of us horn players. It's like, I ain't picked up this horn in so long, it kicked my butt from here to Thailand. Never been to Thailand, by the way. But to say it, it sounds pretty funny. And earlier today, I came on. I I decided to pull it out the box and toot it a little bit, and immediately I felt a sensation that I haven't had in a long time, and the sensation has been a driving force to play again. The part that I felt so bad about is because I have been away from my horns for so long. The one I brought out last week, Pearl, was the last instrument that I performed on, which was the cover song "Get Lifted" that by John Legend. Um, and recording "Get Lifted" was probably the closest I felt to performing like I used to. Not quite there. And I've come to terms with that, I had to forgive myself on it. That I'm not gonna be the sax player I once was. I can now move forward in pursuing who I want to be, acknowledging that I can't go back. I can only go forward. And that was a hard pill to swallow because I enjoyed who I was as a sax player and what I had built up to because I put in many years and many hours um, to crafting my sound and building up my technique and everything. Because, like, to understand this, I would equate it to a basketball player spending time on dribbling and crafting their catch and release of the ball and the motion of their arm and the certain angles in which they follow through with the ball. For me, it was practicing 6 hours, 10 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours a day at at some point in time. From the long tones to the scales and arpeggios to learning classical songs, classical music, to learning jazz standards, to listening to modern smooth jazz artists and trying to emulate their playing style and learn from them and watch videos and taking private lessons, joining bands, and I put a lot into it to get to a state in which in 2011 having a car accident, having a fractured jaw, having to be off my instrument for a year to a year and a half to having to deal with life situations and work hard to make a living for myself and my family and step away for something that I immersed myself into and it became a part of my identity to it no longer being a part of me for some time period while pursuing other avenues of the music. Ay, ay, ay. I digress. It was a lot. And man, oh man. I feel the fragments of myself coming back together. The only difference is it's not formulating exactly back to the way it once was. Mm, mm, Eh, and all I can say now is I'll figure it out. um, it playing on soprano, I felt so free, and it felt like flying at some point. Um, as I think back to my pre-accident days of playing, um, I felt like a butterfly or a bird just flying high, and I would play for hours and play fast, and I felt free. And coming back to playing, I don't totally feel free, but I feel a release. And feeling the release is giving me a hope. That's what I want to label it as. It's giving me hope. Um, oh, thank you. Thank you very much. J Stop Right says, I love that. I'm happy you are not trying to reach back to who you once were. Um, I was talking to some friends earlier, and we were having a conversation about this, and they were like, "Oh, you could get it back. You just got to build your confidence up. You'll build back up to it." And my take is, I don't feel like I can build backwards. I can only build forward. And the state in which I'm in right now is trying to live up to the reputation in which I once had as a saxophonist amongst friends and colleagues. It's foreign to me, and it doesn't feel authentic because I've changed as a person, and I'm no longer the musician that I once was, and no longer the person I once was. So I'm just me now. And I'm hoping over the next few months, I'll build up to who I want to be now. And I'm still uncovering who that is now. I don't totally know exactly musician wise who I want to be because it's all over the place right now. Like my ear is stuck on Washington D.C. go-go right now. Is that the only thing I want to do? Nah, no. That is by far the only thing I want to do. I would love to do EDM. I would love to do smooth jazz. I would love to do straight ahead jazz. I would love to do gospel. And understanding where I am currently versus those things is the truth versus the dream. The dream is I want to be here. The reality is I'm somewhere around here right now. And to know that I can build up to being here at the height of recording artist status and touring the world status, but I'm not ready for that right now. And that's the truth. to hop on somebody's world tour doing 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 cities around a year, I'm not ready for that. That's the truth. Is it a dream of mine? Yeah. I would love to go on tour. But there's a lot of shadow work I must do on these horns. And order to be ready. Like, can I play a song? Sure, I can play a song. Will it be my best? Probably not. Probably not. Will I be better than some? Most definitely. I'll be better at something. It's like the college basketball player that was scoring 30 points a game, going to the gym, picking up the basketball, and everybody expecting them to score 30 points again. I think not. It's not going to happen. Can they? Yeah, it's possible. But if it's been 5 years or more, I'll even say a year or more without playing basketball, they're not going to be the same player they once were. And that's where I'm at. than that, I am beat from that little bit. Like I told y'all, playing soprano, this one be taking a lot out of you. Breath control is needed, and my amateur lips control is needed. And oh boy, just that little bit there has worn my lips out. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for joining me tonight. I thank you for coming on into the realm of truth and dreams. I hope you got something from tonight, and I hope the best for you all going into the holidays. I encourage you to seek community. I encourage you to find people in whom which you can pour into and they can pour into you. Because the road ahead is definitely going to be rough. And you don't have to go at it alone. That is the lesson to be learned in all of this. And as always, if no one has told you that they love you, I do. I love you. I thank you for coming. Come back soon. I'll be back next week, hopefully. I might not. I got a project I'm be working on that might have my time completely stripped away. But know that I'll be back. That's for sure. You can find me on TikTok here and YouTube as Unveiled Vibrations. And also musically, you can find me at Mr. TD McCollum, TD McCollum on all streaming platforms except Spotify. Me and Spotify do not see eye to eye at the moment, as well as a lot of artists don't see eye to eye with Spotify at the moment. Don't take it to heart. I had to take all the music away from there because they ain't treating us artists right. Despite how many and how few songs I have. I don't care. Spotify, get your act together. Treat the artist right. You can cash out your boy. Mr. TD McCollum is the Cash App. And if you want to chat about anything, dream interpretations, and it all, you can email me, Mr. TD McCollum at gmail.com. I'll see you this Saturday morning with my compadres, my familia, JoJo Speaks, and Prophetic Fire Reiki. We'll be there at 10 o'clock or somewhere around 10 o'clock. And we'll have the devotional and prayer in which we will present to you. Thank you all yet again for being here. I appreciate you. Continue to love on each other. Peace.